Hello and welcome to one last podcast for LLB203 Constitutional Law. As always, I'm Peter Black. Now, as you know, this semester I've been delivering the core unit content in constitutional law through a series of these online video podcasts. Now, while I much prefer the face-to-face environment, this online approach does have some benefits. I think it can make it a bit more interactive for you, but one benefit from my point of view as a teacher is that if I stuff something up, I can simply delete it, go back, record over the top of it, so you don't get to see the mistakes that I make as I go along, or when I get interrupted, for example, when someone knocks on the door, or my phone makes a noise, or the phone rings, or whatever it may be. But I thought it would be a little bit fun to show you some of those outtakes, some of those bloopers, if you like, where I've stuffed things up as I've gone throughout the semester. So what follows next then is just an edited collection of some of those bloopers and outtakes as I've recorded these podcasts for LLB203 Constitutional Law. I should give you a warning, this does contain some adult language. I do occasionally lose my cool and swear, so I bleeped it out, but just a warning, if you are easily shocked or offended, this may not be the podcast for you. Anyway, here are some bloopers. So in terms of some housekeeping, the remarks for the marks themselves are for the weeks 11 and 12. Oh, God almighty, I can't say anything. So scratch that. There is an issue, however, as to what happens when the corporation has no current activities. In this instance, the purpose or the proposed activities test should be used. This was confirmed by the High Court in the case of Fencott and Muller. In that case, the issue was whether or not, oh, for sake, you have to be kidding me. In Polyukovich, let me start again. In Polyukovich and the Commonwealth, amendments to the War Crimes Act 1942 in 1988 retrospectively provided that war crimes committed in Europe in World War I were... In World War II, let me start that again. Amendments to the War Crimes Act in 1942 Commonwealth... Okay, deep breaths. Amendments to the War Crimes Act in 1942... No, amendments to the War Crimes Act in 1988, retrospectively... Okay. In Polyukovich and the Commonwealth, amendments to the War Crimes Act in 1988 retrospectively provided that war crimes committed in Europe in World War II were punishable in Australia. Polyukovich was charged with war crimes in the Ukraine and contested the validity of the act on the basis that it was not supported by a Commonwealth legislative power. Yes, got it. The next case is Elliott and the Commonwealth. This case concerns special federal transport regulations which made provision for the licensing of seamen. How old am I? Let me start again. The next case is Elliott and the Commonwealth. This case concerns special federal transport regulations which made provision for the licensing of seamen with license... God almighty. Alright. For the benefit of the blooper roll, because I'm sure I will include this embarrassing amateur 12-year-old mentality in it. I used to, years ago, lecture this topic in the same week as we did freedom of interstate intercourse, and so I always used to have this great segue from intercourse to semen. Sadly, it's no more. Alright, time to grow up and try again. The next case is Elliott and the Commonwealth. This case concerns special federal transport regulations which made provision for the licensing of seamen with licensing officers appointed at prescribed ports, including Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Newcastle and Port Adelaide, which were the main export ports. Laws can include industrial awards, as we saw in the case of Ex parte McLean. The reference to laws in section 109, however, does not extend to administrative decisions. That's awkward. Okay, let me start that again and just put my phone on mute. Laws can include industrial awards. The authority for this is Ex parte McLean. The court, the Parliament does, however, let me start that again. The Commonwealth Parliament does, however, have a general power to regulate judicial proceedings. We see this through the incidental power under Section 5139 to make laws affecting the trial of federal matters. There have been a few cases that have considered the scope and application of this. It extends to the burden of proof, as we see in Milosevic. The Commonwealth Parliament has a general incidental power under Section 5139 to make laws affecting the trial of federal matters. This includes the burden of proof, Milosevic and Campbell, the admissibility of evidence, Rodway and the Queen, and even a law directing courts to ignore complicity of police in a controlled... Come on! For I can't get anything done today. Okay. Let's start again. The Commonwealth Parliament has general incidental power under Section 5139 to make laws affecting the trial of federal matters. This extends to the burden of proof, as we saw in Milosevic and Campbell, the admissibility of evidence, as we saw in Rodway and the Queen, and even a law directing courts to ignore complicity of police in a controlled operation to catch drug dealers. As we... Oh, come on! I cursed today.